What it is, what it do, cyber world. Welcome to the Ash Said It Show. I'm your host, Ash Brown. I appreciate all of the love and all of the support. Over 1,800 episodes, 500,000 streams, and 100,000 downloads worldwide. None of that is possible without you guys, so I thank you so very much. Today is a wonderful day because we get to talk about bacon. I've got the founder and CEO of Bakon today, the wonderful David Jones. Hey, David.
Hi, Ash. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us, David. Let's talk about how Bacon came to be. How did bacon get here?
I am happy to tell you. First, I have to make one slight correction so our CEO won't get his feelings hurt.
Oh,
I
boy.
am the president of our company, Thrilling Foods, and Jared Hansen is our CEO. But
Gotcha.
as far as how this all started, being a Texas meat eater, I was pretty dyed in the wool until I moved to Portland. And, there's just a different vibe here. There's a different culture, different thinking. And, everybody I knew, vegetarian, talking about vegetarian, vegan, so many people. And the girlfriends that I would date were all vegetarians or vegans. And so, I took more of an interest and began to try some of those things. One of the things I was going to miss was, the occasional steak or some bacon. And so I tried bacons and some of those products and meat products. I just, not only did they not taste the way I remembered or, provide that proper chew or whatever, but looking at the packages, they really didn't seem to have healthy ingredients either. So I felt like I was being good to the animals and being bad to me. So I just tried to make my own because I've been a cook all my life. That's where it all began.
From the idea unto actually having the final product that you were satisfied with, how long would you say that took?
Well, that's been several years. We're still making smaller improvements, all along, and we'll continue to make changes as we go. But yeah, really intensively working through all the different approaches because I certainly, tried things that I didn't care for. I did try all those protein powders and protein isolates that everyone was using to do all these things, and I found out why I don't like them is because those powders and isolates don't even taste good. They need masking agents. They smell like paint maybe, and just it's really hard to make good food. And I'm not an industrial a food provider. I'm a cook. I'm a chef. And so at any rate, once I got away from those things and kind of took a look at cultures that have been vegetarian and vegan for centuries, Buddhist and the like, you started coming up that tofu is hitting everywhere. And so I, was saying, yeah, look at that. Tofu is really super healthy. It has all the proteins that you need to grow in human tissue. It's, really purely protein. And so let me start there. And, because they have better health than we do as well.
Right.
Less heart disease, less, cancer rates, etc. So working with that, I eventually, found out or was made to really look at the fact that you can't get tofu to taste like anything even by marinating it. It is sort of a locked-in, bland flavor, and no one's changed that recipe in, several hundred years. It's still made today, for the most part, exactly like all tofu was made in the past. And so I may be the first person to really deeply dive into what you can and cannot do to, the approach, what you can add and what you cannot, to end up with a different product, a modern tofu, an updated tofu. And so, I found out how to introduce, richness and fats and flavorings and things and still end up with a firmer tofu than ever before. I worked through all of that, and then also smoking. I had a background in bacon making from my experiences in Europe with family there, and in Texas, certainly made bacon, and it's more along the German line. And so when you took this ancient, I ended up taking this ancient art of tofu and sort of bringing it into the future a little bit, and then added another ancient art of smoking and salt curing, preserving that bacon saw in the old days in Europe where it was started. We ended up with something that tasted so much like bacon that when I gave it to my neighbors and friends, they all felt guilty about continuing to ask for more, so they would ask me would I sell them some, because they didn't want me to constantly be giving them away bacon, so they offered to pay me more and more money, and I realized, well, I'm really onto something here. I was tickled to death. We were really working, or I was working by myself at that time, to come up with something that had that same craveability. You know, there's like a potato chip, or you chew up some bacon and swallow it, and there's a little voice in your head that says, come on, take another bite, and that's that kind of craveability. And, you know, I knew at a certain point I had gotten that with our bacon, spelled with a K, that you would eat it. I really saw that early on with other people. A flavoring expert was working with me and helping, and they ate an entire package of bacon that had been fried up. There was 8 or 9 strips there in a plate, and as we talked, I noticed that she ate the entire plate of bacon. She couldn't stop herself. So we knew we were onto something good.
As you go along this process, and like you said, you're trying it out, and people are, they can't get enough of it. What was the first challenge that you guys saw, and how'd you get out of that?
Well, this has been just so many challenges, and we still continue to face. And I think they're all about growth and production because, as I said, I did not come from a background of this food science and food production, this industrial thing. I'm someone who lovingly made this for my friends. And so to take that process, which was really a kitchen process, and go to a bigger kitchen and churn out lots of it, so that we could begin to supply the local stores here, and then, more and more and bigger and bigger and bigger. And, we're now sold from, New York City to Oahu.
Wow.
LA alone, I think, is going to have about 50 stores coming online, more than Portland, even where I live here, where it's born. But, being able to make sure that we have the same or even better product that's made really super healthy, good for you, in large quantities, that is a tough challenge because this is such a new process. No one's ever done this before.
Right.
So it's not like there's a lot of equipment that we could buy to help us. We're having to create a lot of the process and create the equipment. And there's not a lot of consultants that can help us because when we tell them what we do, they scratch their head and go, really? How about that? It's hard for them to be helpful.
What would you say, if you can say, the next chapter of bacon? What's next on the horizon?
Well, not only getting, big enough and maybe hopefully bringing the price down to where we can, be in stores that are the major chains across the United States, but we'll be adding flavors, different flavors. Right now we're, maple, black peppercorn.
Yes.
And it's really good and it's very popular, but, we look at maybe a Korean red chili one. What is it, gochujang? With the millionaire approach. I think millionaire bacon is popular. Looking at just a plain maple bacon, but we're also wanting to come up with a new product called BAM that is like a canned meat product, like good old Spam. That's great with musubis and everything, and we've already our tests show that it's great stuff. Staying with the same technology that we've developed. And we'll also just probably end up having a line of modern tofus that are tofus that you don't need to work so hard to marinate and try to get them to taste like something. They will already come tasting like chicken, beef, pork, or seafood. They'll have a more enriched, higher fat mouthfeel. They will be much more fatty and a really good flavor already. And that's been the problem with me with tofu is it just tastes like so much nothing out of the package.
Yeah.
So I think those will be very popular.
Yeah, I agree to that. When I initially went vegetarian years and years ago, I, was doing a lot of reading and people were suggesting things to me. And the top thing that kept coming up was, oh my gosh, you've got to have tofu. You've got to do this with your tofu, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a fan of tofu. I don't like the firm one. I don't like the soft one. I don't like the silk one. I'm just not a fan of it at all. So I'm very, very interested in trying bacon. So we gotta figure some stuff out there, David. What is the best way for people to get more information on bacon?
Our website is thrillingfoods.com.
Mm-hmm.
And with just the one major product out there, they can learn all they want to about bacon. The ingredients are there, how to cook it, and even you can order it if there are no stores or restaurants serving it near you. There is a map, a bacon locator. They can find out where it all is.
Right.
But again, if they don't live near some of those, they can order online from us or from a lot of other providers.
Sounds like a plan. David, thank you so much for joining us today. Certainly appreciate you.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much for your love and support. Keeping in mind, anyone to tell you that you can't do what you want to do. You look them square in the face, you tell them, don't believe me. Just watch. Watch what I do. Watch me make it happen. Watch me make history. That's what we're doing this for, the history books. Social media is nice, but real life is so much better. Until next time, you guys.